In today's video, we're going to be taking one of China's high-speed trains from Hefei City in Anhui Province to Shanghai. Now, I've spent the last week in Hefei visiting my partner Cindy's family, but it's time to make the 2-hour and 15-minute journey east to the megacity of Shanghai, where Cindy and I met both 7 years ago, and where we'll be staying for the next 3 nights before I fly China Airlines over to Taipei.
Now, I have been on these trains before. It's been about 5 years. They used to take around about 3 hours or so. But today's trains only be taking 2 hours, so I'm not sure if it's just less stops or they're faster now, because they used to go 300 kilometers an hour, so I can't imagine they'd be faster. I'm assuming it's just no stops and this is more like an express train. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be loud. People like to talk on these trains over here. It's going to be a different experience. Just been flying on planes for the last few weeks, so it's going to be nice to switch it up. See the country from the ground, so to speak, going across the land over to Shanghai. Yeah, once again, 2-hour trip I think is, and I think our Didi, which is the same as we have Uber back in Australia, I think our Didi is only a few minutes away, so better get downstairs and catch that to the train station. We need to get there a little bit earlier as well, because as a foreigner, you need to do something with your passport. I can't remember what it was, but thankfully my partner, she's Chinese, so we'll go down and we'll get that one done. Then hop on the train. Let's go.
It was about a 25-minute drive from where we were staying in Hefei to the train station, but once inside, to pass through the first security check, this is generally where Chinese citizens will produce their Chinese ID and they can pass through the gates and begin the security process. But as I'm a foreigner, I needed to produce my passport to security staff to allow me through a different gate, but all in all, it was no hassle, and before I knew it, I was in the terminal building. Now once inside, we identified our gate number, similar to an airport gate, and went and sat down until they called out for our train. Once it was boarding time, everyone got up and lined up in front of the gate. For foreigners like myself, it's quite easy, as you can identify the line which says manual check-in, as it will check your ticket and passport, whereas Chinese citizens can queue in other lines and they can just use their Chinese ID cards. All in all, it was quite a simple process. We wouldn't have been waiting for more than 5 minutes before our train began to arrive at the station, and as you can see, we're all standing within our designated carriage zones, ready to board the train. And as the train got closer, I can certainly say this must be a new train, as all the trains I used to take 5 to 7 years ago looked much less sleek and all a bland white colour, whereas this one certainly looks like it can go quick. Now today's train is actually started in a different city, hence the reason there are already passengers seated on the train beforehand. So today's train has a 3-2 configuration in economy, which is generally the same I've seen in other high-speed trains in China, with a similar look and layout. There's tons of legroom, Wi-Fi is available, and the recline is decent enough to have a snooze.
Relatively comfortable. We're expecting about a 2-hour, 18-minute trip to Shanghai. So yeah, I mean, if you factor in the time as well, what it would take being on a plane or something like that, it's actually much easier just hopping on one of these trains, especially in China. I mean, realistically, most people do just use the trains here because the demand is so high. For one, there's so many people here and it's far cheaper. If you fly domestically within China, it's very expensive. I mean, unless you're going from like way down the south, such as say Shenzhen, all the way up north to say like Beijing, something like that, then yeah, of course you're going to fly. But if you're just going between, let's just say, I don't know, under 1,000 kilometers or something from, I don't know, let's just say even today, I think probably covering maybe 500-600 kilometers. I'll find out the exact distance and I'll put it down here onto the screen now. But yeah, realistically, you're just going to catch a train. It's much easier. I think today we paid about $40 Australian. It's about 200 RMB. And then this is for the economy. But if you want to go business, that's about $700. So you can factor in, that's what, maybe $150 or something. Done that once before, but it's nothing really that amazing. So, but yeah.
The train departed Hefei at 11:11 AM, and we made our way towards our first stop, which would be Hefei South Station. One thing worth mentioning is how big and extensively used the Chinese high-speed rail network is, as at the end of 2023, there was over 45,000 kilometers in tracks, which is the world's longest and actually accounts for 2/3 of the world's total high-speed rail networks. Just from this image, you can see how extensive the network is, with the red showing lines capable of speeds over 300 kilometers an hour, and the yellow are newly built lines with speeds between 200 and 300 kilometers an hour. Now, one thing I'd recommend is to check out the same map in 2008, and you'll barely see any lines at all, which shows how fast things change in this country and the fast development it has undergone.
It's like the high-speed train, 718, and today, and I can order. Oh, sorry, this one I see it doesn't have one. This one I think is the pre-order, and this is when you can go to the shop and get it. But yeah, you need to pay.
So Cindy was just saying that through one of these booking apps that she uses to buy the tickets for this train, you can actually order food from the next station. Because we just saw some people bring on KFC, and then KFC was going down this. But yeah, apparently what you can do is you can order from the next stop, and then they bring it on at the next stop. But yeah, it's probably a bit difficult for someone like myself or a foreigner because you need this special app. But I think it's pretty cool if you're a local and you can do that. But yeah.
It was only 15 minutes into the trip when we reached Nanjing South Station, and then we powered on towards Wuxi East Station, where we arrived about an hour and a half into the journey. Now, as expected, when on a high-speed train, it's a very smooth ride. So sure, if you had some noise-cancelling headphones or earplugs, you'd quite easily be able to get in a nap.
For a lot of this ride in the beginning, we're sort of just like cruising at like 245 kilometers an hour. But I've noticed since the last station we definitely picked it up, and just before we were going 307 kilometers an hour. Now just sitting around about 305. But yeah, going at this speed shouldn't be too long before we get to Shanghai.
After Wuxi East Station, we made our way towards Suzhou, which was going to be our last stop today before arriving into Shanghai Hongqiao Station. Now, generally in the past, we wouldn't stop here and go straight to Shanghai Railway Station in Jing'an District, which is much more central, but Hongqiao is where the line ends today, right next to the Hongqiao Airport, which serves primarily domestic and regional flights, although there are a few international flights departing from there as well.
Alright, so we just left Suzhou Station, which I think is probably the last station before Shanghai Hongqiao. I was just confirming with Cindy there, making sure that's the case, but it definitely is. So yeah, probably 20-25 more minutes and we should be arriving into Shanghai.
So right now we're just trying to navigate our way to the pickup spot so we can meet our DD that will take us to the hotel. Alright, so we've just arrived to our accommodation here in Shanghai, and it's really good to be back here. It's been 5 years since I was last here. So yeah, it's been a big gap in time obviously,
We know why. And but it is what it is. I came here quite often from 2017 through to 2019. I think I came here like 7 times in the space of 2 years. At least for one part in 2017. I pretty much lived here from about July to about December in 2017. So yeah, it is really good to be back. Our room here is really nice too. We're staying at the Green Court Residences, which is around People's Square. So if you do come to stay in Shanghai, People's Square is like one of the best places to stay in because you have one of the largest, God, what am I trying to say? You have one of the largest subway stations down there, which pretty much can get you onto any line. And it's just also super easy to walk everywhere. You can walk, Nanjing Road, you can walk down to the Bund from here, you can walk along the Suzhou River, check that out. So yeah, I will make a video while I'm here in Shanghai, just showing you some of my favorite places around here. Won't be able to get to all of them obviously, as we're only here for 3 nights. But yeah, I'm looking forward to making that video too, so that'd be great. But yeah, the trip on the high speed today was quite good. It was only 2 hours and 14 minutes at the end, which is very quick. It's the quickest it's ever been when I've been on there, and I think it actually got to about 307 kilometers an hour at some points there. So yeah, very, very quick. We only had a few stops. What was it? Nanjing, Wuxi, and Suzhou before we ended up in Hongqiao Station here in Shanghai. So yeah, overall, I mean, in terms of the price, I mean, they're just super efficient. They're super easy and efficient, and hopefully me making this video, you've been able to see how easy it is to actually catch one of these trains if you need to catch one. So don't worry if you can't speak any Chinese whatsoever. You don't really need to. Just make sure you're lining up in the correct areas where it's the manual processing area, so they can check your passport, they can scan it, etc., and then you can go forward. It's the same thing when you leave. So it's very easy, very simple, and yeah, I mean, it's the main form of transport here in China for getting around, to be honest, because let's face it, airfares are not cheap here. They never have been. So unless you're going big distances, you wouldn't really be catching a flight. You'd be hopping on a train here. So let's just say, for example, you're here in Shanghai, you want to go to Hangzhou, Suzhou, Hefei, where I've been, or something like that. You'd catch a train. You wouldn't fly. Unless you're down in Guangzhou or Shenzhen and you wanted to go up to Beijing, then yeah, of course, you're going to fly. But because you don't want to be sitting on a train for, a day and a half or whatever it might take, maybe a day. It probably would be a day, actually, but yeah. So I'd say anything under 5 hours on the train, perfectly fine. They're relatively comfortable. The recline is great, and there's plenty of leg room as well. So yeah, I think I might wrap this one up here. Thank you very much for joining along on this journey today from Hefei over to here in Shanghai. Got my last 3 nights here in China before I head over to Taiwan for a couple of nights. Then we're on to Japan for about a week. So looking forward to that too. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far into the video, if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. And if you have liked this video, please consider hitting the like button. It really helps. The videos go a long way with the algorithm and whatnot. So yeah, thank you very much. And I'll catch you in the next one where we're having a bit of a walk around Shanghai. See ya.